And welcome to another Cardinals Nest here on HBC TV 25. I'm Dean Beckman, joined once again by our Sports Information Director, Donnie Netto. And this week on the Cardinals Nest here on HBC, we're going to be featuring men's hockey. And we have our assistant men's hockey coach, J Reszka, with us a little bit later on in the program. Jared Johnson, one of the players on the team, he'll be joining us. And Donnie, earlier this year here on the Nest, we had Chris Kendall on the program. Chris, of course, longtime administrator for St. Mary's, a former student. Now we have another employee of the university who's a former student, right?
That's right. So it's great to have Jay on board. And Jay, as we get into this this interview, talk a little bit about yourself, about your upbringing. I know you're a Winona native. I know that because I actually got to coach him a little bit. So talk a little bit about playing youth hockey here, and then and how that kind of evolved into becoming a player at St. Mary's, and then now a coach.
So I grew up in Winona. Parents still live in the same house. Grew up in the Winona youth system, skating outside, skated at St. Mary's in the old bubble. And then when Winona built a rink down at Bud King, I skated down there. And that's obviously changed throughout the years for the better. I mean, the improvements they've done with the city has been great. Went through the whole program all the way through high school. I actually got involved with St. Mary's when I was about 13, working with the old coach in his hockey camps. I worked through high school with him. And then once I was done with high school, it seemed like a good fit. I was very comfortable there, obviously, with working for him. So I decided to choose St. Mary's for school and for hockey.
And it's been a great fit. Talk a little bit about your playing days. You know, it's one of those things as youth, you kind of always aspire to to play college hockey. You were fortunate enough to do that. Talk about your time here as a player.
So growing up in the Winona system prepared me for college, I think, but it's always a big step up to go from high school to college. And nowadays, kids have a little step in between playing junior hockey, and that wasn't as prevalent when I went through. So making that step, it was tough, and it was a bigger jump for me than I thought it would be. You know, it's the speed of the game's different, and but growing up in Winona, having the college team to watch, I mean, it prepared me a little bit. Having those role models and that sort of thing. Obviously, I didn't play as much as I would have liked. That was probably my doing too. I wasn't as prepared as I would like to be, but it was a great experience. I got a great education, and obviously I'm back. This is my 13th year coaching, so obviously I love St. Mary's as much as anybody.
Now, but before we go any further, I've got to ask this because you helped set this up, Donnie. Tell us about Donnie Netto, the coach, the hockey coach, right? He's not an assistant coach anymore for Winona High, but as he pointed out, he once was. He helped coach you. So what was Donnie like on the ice as a coach?
Donnie was, he's got a lot of energy, just like he does now.
That's a nice way of putting it, I guess.
He wasn't a yeller or screamer, very knowledgeable. He worked a lot with goaltenders, so I didn't see him a whole lot as I played defense. But, he has as much passion for the game and for Winona hockey as anybody. So it was great having him, being a part of it. And I coached him a little bit at Winona High when I was right out of school. So that was a lot of fun. Just having Donnie involved is great.
Okay, so all nice things. You can relax now, Donnie, and go back to your question.
Well, my question was really going to be is the junior part of the college or the player progression, is that the biggest change from when you were here to the way the game is played now? Or talk a little bit about the difference between Division III hockey when you played it many moons ago and what it's at now as you are coaching them now.
It's much more skilled. And players ask me all the time how it once was, and I say if I was coming out of high school now at the same talent level I did, 15 years ago, I couldn't play at this level. The kids are just that much better. The junior hockey prepares them, mentally and physically to be a college hockey player. They get 2 more years of growth physically, and to mature and that sort of thing. And the kids come in now, the skill level is so high. I mean, it's the difference between Division I and Division III is almost nothing. Our top 5 players could be, on just about any Division I team in the nation, So that's a huge difference. Is it always good? No, because there's some kids that could probably go right from high school and play college, but, they go play those 2 years, they play an extra 100 games, they practice every day. The coaching is very good. So I think it helps us, and I don't want to say it makes our job easier because we still have to recruit those kids, but I mean, it's always great to coach kids with that talent level and that sort of thing.
When you mentioned recruiting, and I know that for your whole staff, for Coach Moore and you, and for Jed McGlasson, recruiting is so important, and you guys are banging the bushes all over the place. Talk a little bit about your strategy as a staff in terms of where you go to find your players and what you're really looking for from a player?
Well, we really have to go everywhere. I mean, as much as we'd like to take kids out of just Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, you know, college hockey has grown so much, and there's only so many players out there that we have to go anywhere and everywhere to find players. So the biggest thing we're looking for is obviously talent. The next best thing, or the next most important thing, is grades. You know, kids have to be able to do the schooling, because if they can't get through school, there's no reason to bring them in. So we look for kids that are, you know, high grades, you know, and high skill, and, you know, kids that maybe just miss out on the Division I, you know. So it's not, hopefully it's not a disappointment to play D3, but, you know, those are they got to have the whole package.
So besides recruiting, what are some other responsibilities that you have for St. Mary's?
I also run the ice arena, so I get to drive the Zamboni and take care of the facility. Just like everyone else at St. Mary's, you also have, you know, dual roles and that sort of thing. So I run a lot of student workers and make sure that the facility is ready to go on game nights.
So here's a question. How many students or staff ask you if they can drive the Zamboni? That's like everyone's dream, right?
It is.
So I'll bet you get that request quite a bit.
I do, and I let them ride. I don't let too many drive.
You know, it's everybody's dream for about 3 days,
Right.
and then it gets old, and,
Right.
and then it becomes a job. But Jay, talk a little bit about the rink, because the rink is really, you know, you've mentioned that you've been here quite a while. I mean, you remember the bubble and how that kind of progressed to what we have now. Talk a little bit about some of the duties that you have to do to keep that rink going the way it does now.
You know, we're very fortunate to have a rink on campus. Not many schools do. We're one of about 3 in the West that has a facility on campus. So we're very fortunate. It helps with recruiting. Some of the work that I have to do, it's not as much as other places because we do have a dedicated maintenance staff. But basic maintenance, you know, keeping the Zamboni running, you know, that sort of thing, the day-to-day, you know, greasing and stuff like that. It's not glamorous, but, you know, it keeps it moving. You know, my student workers work hard, keeping the place clean and ready to go. And we are fortunate, too, that the university, we don't rent out the facility as much as a public rink. So it is for our students. So it doesn't get as much wear and tear as a normal rink would.
Coach, before we get to this year's team, tell us about Coach Moore and what it's like working for Billy.
Coach Moore is a great guy. I mean, he's just like Donnie. He's got as much passion and fire as there is. You know, the guys love him. You know, he's a player's coach. You know, he'd do anything for his guys. You know, and so he didn't have to keep me on when he came. I worked under the previous coach, and he was gracious enough to do that. So I'm very appreciative to him. And you know, I've learned a lot from him. You know, and it's been a up and down run. We had some rough years. You know, some results that we didn't want, but now I think we got things going in the right direction, and it's a lot of fun.
Yes, I was going to say 7-10-2 this year. 4-game winning streak, though, right? So you're definitely peaking at the right time of the year. Tell us about this year, because so many teams, of course, in the hunt for one of the final playoff spots in the conference. So tell us what you're seeing this year and how the team is kind of peaking right now.
Yeah, I think we've just been a little bit inconsistent here and there. So, you know, we've had some results obviously we didn't like, but I think we've learned from it. And, you know, I think coming into our last 6 games, we're moving in the right direction. And obviously, you know, you want to be peaking at this time of year. We've got our goaltender, Aaron Davis, playing extremely well, giving up only 3 goals in 2 games last weekend. You know, all of our lines are going. I don't think we're getting production out of just 1 or 2 guys. It's across the board, and that's what you want to see. You know, and it's kind of the next man up mentality. Mm-hmm. And you know, it's been a lot of fun, and that's what makes coaching fun. Is, you know, if it was cookie cutter day in day out, it wouldn't be fun. And working through, you know, the ups and downs, it's a blast.
You know, Jay, how do you keep the players from getting too caught up in the playoff chase? Because now with the internet and everything, it's not hard for them to know exactly where you're sitting, exactly who everybody else is that's in front of you. Do you try to keep them at an even keel and say, hey, we got to focus on this weekend at Bethel. We can't be worrying about if we sweep Bethel, then we've got, you know, how do you do that as a coaching staff to make sure that the players focus on what's going to happen on Friday night and not looking ahead to what might happen 2 weeks from now?
I think it's just a constant reminder of, you know, we've kind of taken on the mentality of win the next shift. And that's what it is, the next shift. And that's even in practice. You know, we just need to be good today. We need to get better and better and take that into each weekend. If we do that, then everything should take care of itself. I think if we keep talking so much about playoffs and that sort of thing, the focus does get put down the road, and it stops focusing on what's right in front of us.
You know, real quickly here, I know that you've got Bethel this weekend, home on Saturday, away on Friday. You played them in the showcase. Does that help Does that make a difference? I mean, it was so long ago, but you know, the fact that you have played them, you beat them 3-1. Does that help you as you prepare for this weekend?
I don't think so, because it was so long ago, and every team changes so much. We've changed, you know, teams make adjustments throughout the year. You have injuries, that sort of thing. So I would expect it's going to be a totally different game than what we saw in the fall.
Real quick, Jay, we've got Jared Johnson coming on the program next. Tell us more about Jared, maybe from a coach's perspective, and if you've got a fun Jared Johnson story, you're free to share that as well.
No, none that I could share. Jared's a great kid. We recruited Jared out of Tier 3 hockey, and you know, I think Jared's kind of that underdog story. He didn't play in the highest level of juniors, and we found him, and he's been a great player on and off the ice. And you know, it's one of those kids that when he comes out, and it's almost like a win for the coaching staff, because you see a kid that doesn't play at the highest level but is a great player, and it kind of makes you act like you know what you're doing, when that kid comes in and produces. Yeah. So, yeah, he's made me look pretty smart over the last 4 years. So.
All right, J Reszka, thanks for being on the program today. Your first time on the Cardinals Nest. It was about time that we had Jay on. So, thanks a lot. Good luck this weekend and the rest of the season, too.
Thank you very much.
All right, stay tuned. Jared Johnson comes on the Cardinals Nest next here on HBC.
Hi, I'm David Dickey, inviting you to join me for a special program, 30 Seconds in Winona in 30 Minutes. Our program is a special look at the Frozen River Film Festival's 30 Seconds in Winona Short Film Festival held this past October. I'll speak with the filmmakers and we'll view their award-winning film. Watch 30 Seconds in Winona in 30 Minutes, February 6th and 7th at 6 p.m. It's brought to you by the Winona County History Center and Libra Knapp Law Offices.
Don't miss out on highlights and score updates from your favorite local college and high school athletics by following HBC TV 25 Sports. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get up-to-date information on all the games covered by the HBC sports team. Grab your smartphone and add us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at HBC TV 25 Sports.
And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest on HBC TV 25, the show devoted to St. Mary's University and its athletic programs. And Jared Johnson, a forward senior from the men's hockey team, joins us on the program now. And you know, Donnie, we have Valentine's Day coming up, so it's only appropriate we get on somebody from Heartland, Wisconsin, right? So, Jared, welcome to the program. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, about your upbringing in Heartland, and then how you got started playing hockey, and then how you ended up coming to St. Mary's.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. And just a little bit about myself. I grew up in Heartland, Wisconsin, was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Grew up there, played hockey for Arrowhead Youth Hockey Association. My brother played hockey, so that's kind of how I started with that. And then after that, just I only played for one organization growing up. I know a lot of guys that play college hockey kind of bounce around from organization to organization, but played with one organization, then went to Arrowhead High School. I was kind of 50-50 about just going to school and doing the normal college route, and 50% thinking about playing juniors. And it ended up, it was down to the wire my senior year, and I had some offers to play juniors, and I said, talked to my parents, why not? This opportunity only comes once in a lifetime, so might as well take advantage of that. So I ended up playing 2 years of juniors in Cleveland, Ohio. So that was interesting because you think Ohio, it's still similar to the Midwest, but realistically it was a lot different. It was kind of eye-opening for me. My first year, at least, living on your own, you don't have people telling you where to be, what to do, so you definitely mature a lot. But the 2 years were great there, and I loved the team, loved the guys, loved the coach, so it was a really good experience for me.
Yeah, I got to believe when you're 18 and having to make that decision, right? Do you go to juniors? Do you not? That's, it's nice to have parents to talk to and help make that decision. I suppose for some athletes, it's an easy decision. It's just something they want to continue to pursue. But from your standpoint, what were some things that made it a little bit more difficult?
I honestly think the biggest difficulty with the whole junior hockey aspect is just moving away, right? Because you've got guys. I know we've got guys on our team from Alaska, right? And they could go all the way to New York to play junior hockey.
Right. You got to go where you got to go. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's I think it's very difficult when you think about it like that. I mean, yeah, a typical college student goes to college, and wherever they go, it could be across the country. But then again, you're playing hockey, and at the end of the day, it's a business, right? You can get traded at any minute. You can get dropped from a roster at any minute, and they don't necessarily care about your well-being or if you're going to be all right and whatnot. I mean, it's a business, right?
Okay. Can you talk a little bit, because a lot of people may not understand the junior world. You go to a team, you stay at a billet family,
Correct.
or a billet family being a family that kind of quote unquote adopts you for to live with them. Talk a little bit about that part of playing juniors, because like you said, it's really you're playing hockey for a living for that couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. So the billet family, it's kind of interesting because when you explain it to people, they're like, oh, so you just live with another, host family, and you have to explain to them, yeah, that's exactly right. So it's just a lot different than what you're used to. But I know, speaking on a personal experience, I know the billet family that I was with in Cleveland, I was with them for both years, and they were phenomenal. The parents were great, and they actually had 2 young boys. One was 10, named Connor, and one was 6, named Evan, and they both played hockey for the youth organization. So, and they actually practiced out of the same rink that we played out of. So we saw the kids all the time. We would skate with them, and I think it was a great experience both for myself and the roommate that I was with, and for the family, having the kind of, big brother figure around.
And how did you get from juniors in Cleveland to Winona, Minnesota, and St. Mary's?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I didn't have a ton of offers, and I didn't age out either, so I didn't play. I had one more year of eligibility, but I decided, in talking with Coach Reszka and Coach Moore at the time, I thought it was a good option, and I definitely. Obviously, when I came on my visit, I loved the school, loved everything about it, loved the academics first and foremost. But I think what was really key in my decision to come to St. Mary's and try to play hockey was that I wanted to be somewhere close enough to home so that my family could be a part of my college experience. So I think that was definitely the decision factor, a factor in the decision to come here over another school.
And as we talked with Coach Reszka, the 6 games left in the season, has it set in yet that you're a senior? This is the finality of the college hockey career?
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it started setting in a little bit after Christmas. I think that was when it was kind of like when we all came back to start practices on New Year's Day for the second half of the season. I think that's when all the guys, all the seniors were looking at each other going, boys, this is it. So definitely.
And it's interesting, after Christmas really now seems like the time that you've really picked your game up. Not you particularly, but the team has really picked their game up, and you're playing extremely well. You're heading into those last 6 games on a great high. Is there maybe some of that seniors saying, hey, you know what, this is our last run, and we're going to make sure it's the best we can do?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I know a lot of the guys are thinking the same thing, but we're on a good roll right now with our win streak, and realistically, we knew going into this season that the first half was going to be kind of an up and down ride with our schedule. I mean, we played a very tough schedule, and that happens, but I think the guys have really, I think it's a whole team. It's not just the seniors. I think everyone has come back from Christmas ready to go, and they understand that we have to make a push, and if we're going to do it, we're going to do it now with the guys in this locker room. So,
one of the captains, what does that role mean to you in terms of personally, what does it mean to be a captain, and secondly, what type of responsibilities does that carry for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for me, I'm tremendously honored to be a captain of this hockey team, and I think in terms of responsibilities, I think for me, I've always tried to be a leader, not in what I say, but more so what I do. You know, just leading by example, doing the right things at all times, and then, you know, what comes along with that is not only the hockey aspect, but also academics and campus presence. I mean, we want obviously every guy on our team to, you know, pretend they're a leader of the team, or at least think they're a leader of the team, so they act in a way that sets a good example for the younger guys.
Tell us, too, about your perspective of Coach Bill Moore and, of course, assistants Jed McGlasson and J Reszka. What have they done for you, both from a hockey standpoint, but then also just from a personal leadership standpoint?
Yeah, well, they all three of them are fantastic coaches. I mean, I think it's a good balance between the three. I think they all bring something special to the table, and they're all different in their own ways. So I think with Coach Bill Moore, I think he's an awesome players coach. He'll do anything for the guys, which is huge, and I know all of the guys respect that and love that about him. And obviously with Coach J Reszka, he focuses more on the defensemen, so I don't get to see him as much, but I'd like to. But he does a great job with the defensemen, and he keeps guys light in the locker room, and does a great job at not. And this is hard to do as a coach, and I know this. It's tough when you're down in a game to not panic, and he does a great job with staying calm, cool, and collected. And then obviously the addition of Coach Jed McGlasson this year has been phenomenal. I know, just speaking from a senior's perspective, we all played with him when he was a senior at St. Mary's, so it's really good to see him transition into the player he was into the coach he is, and you can definitely see some overlap there because he was a great player.
Now, Donnie always gets to close out the
question. Yeah, I
questioning.
do, and I have just a couple. And the first one, I'm looking at your physique, and you're an extremely fit young man. But
oh, you're talking to him.
I hear this story, and I'd like you to kind of expand on it. That you used to go to bed at night and eat not only a bowl of cereal, but a whole box of cereal.
Yeah, that's true, and I'm sure the guys will probably grill me about it, but. Yeah, back in high school, I was, I don't know if I liked the super carb diet. I would just eat a lot of carbohydrates. I would eat a whole box of Wheaties or Lucky Charms right before bed, and I don't do that anymore because my metabolism doesn't allow for it. But yeah, that's true, and I'm sure the guys will grill me about that.
Well, I got one more that they're probably going to grill you about, too.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever, every once in a while, I get told that I look like a certain famous person. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been told you look like a famous person? That was in a children's show. He used to be an elf.
Oh, yeah.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah,
wanted to be a dentist.
I would have never thought of that.
Can you expound on that a little bit? Actually, I was told this, so but the resemblance is there.
Yeah.
Herbie the dentist.
Yep. Hermie the elf. I believe it's from. I think it's Frosty the Snowman with the.
Rudolph.
Rudolph. Yeah, Rudolph. Yeah, Hermie the elf. That's supposedly my look-alike, and a couple of my roommates have put together pictures with my face and then Hermie right next to each other. Me with a beanie on, and Hermie obviously has that blue hat. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's spot on. It's pretty close.
Now, you don't even want to be a dentist. You're a double major in finance and business intelligence and data analytics. So tell us what you do hope to do with that double major.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, right now I'm leaning towards, I'd like to get into the industry of investment management. So more so, I'd eventually like to meet an investment advisor, but I know obviously that takes some time and you have to kind of work your way up, but that's kind of the direction I'm leaning towards. I had a really good positive experience at an internship down in La Crosse, Wisconsin this past summer where I was doing investment work. So I'm hoping that I can break into the industry and then stay in the industry because that's what I'd like to do.
All right, Jared Johnson, a senior forward from the men's hockey team. Thanks for being on the show. Good luck this weekend against Bethel, and let's get into the playoffs. All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Jared Johnson, everybody. So thanks for joining us. We'll be right back here on HBC TV 25 to wrap things up on the Cardinals Nest.
Join us for our new show, Explore the Outdoors with HBC. Fishing, hiking, skiing, Say goodbye to cabin fever as we explore the different activities you can do outdoors in Winona and the surrounding areas. Explore the Outdoors airs Sunday through Tuesday at 5 p.m. on HBC TV 25. Brought to you by Oz Lifting.
Hi, my name is Dave Adcock, one of your good friends here at HBC. I take great pride in serving our friends and neighbors in the community, and it's a privilege to also serve those who have served our country. When I deliver lunch to my friend Sil, a veteran of World War II, we not only share lunch, but we share time. And I really enjoy that connection to the community. Not only do we work here, we live here, and helping build our community is important to us because HBC is people in your community.
And we're back on the Cardinals Nest to wrap things up. Dean Beckman alongside Sports Information Director Donnie Netto. And Donnie, we talked about on the men's hockey segment, they're in the playoff chase, of course, but the women's basketball team in the thick of it as well.
Yeah, they're sitting really good right now. A big couple of wins last weekend brings their winning streak to 5 straight games. Brandy Blattner and Alexa Huseman are just a dynamite 1-2 punch. Lex had 32 points a couple weeks ago in a win for the Cardinals, and Brandy had 30 just last Saturday against Augsburg in a big win for them. I don't think we've been able to congratulate Brandy yet on camera for her 1,000th career point. Amazing when you think about midway through her junior year, she becomes a 1,000-point scorer, so a great performance for her. Women's hockey still in the hunt. They came up with a really big tie against Gustavus 1-1 last Friday. Gustavus ranked number 4 in the country, so a real good tie for them. Unfortunately, they weren't able to follow that up the second day, and they lost 5-0, so a tough one there. But they're still right there in the hunt, too. I'm hoping that we're going to be talking playoff in 3 of our 4 winter team sports.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, track and field, they're continue to participate in events. Swimming and diving is kind of in the middle of their season
Right.
as well.
Swimming and diving will close out their season in 2 weeks. They've got the MIC championships up in the Twin Cities. Track and field, Coach Anderson has really put together an exciting and fun to watch team. They broke 4 school records at last weekend's UW Stout Warren Bolus Invitational, so they're performing very well. And this is so early in the indoor season for them. It's great to see them doing really well. And I just assume that those records are going to continue to fall as the season progresses.
Yeah. And one other thing, Donnie, we have just about 30 seconds left here, is we have yet to congratulate on this show Nikki Fennern, right? Breaking Barriers Award for her work in administration in athletics from a women's athletics organization that she received.
A very great honor for Nikki, and certainly well deserved. She does so much work behind the scenes that people don't even know that she's doing. Right. That it's really a great honor for her, and she certainly deserves it, and deserves the congratulations that we can give her.
All right, that's going to do it for this week's Cardinals Nest here on HBC. Glad you could join us. Tune in again next week. We'll be back with another Cardinals Nest on TV 25.